Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Ribbon. Boy, we got so much to talk about today. We'll never get it in today's show. Let's start off with the massive hurricane that hit Florida. Let's keep those people in our thoughts, and because it was a Category 4 when it hit landfall of 140-mile-an-hour winds, but in a red state with a good governor, they're on top of it. I watched the press conference this morning with DeSantis. He went over every single county in Florida and gave, how much, how much power they've lost. He articulated, what they were going to do, all the resources they had deployed. That's what you call leadership. That's what you call somebody who works for the people. So, but let's keep them all in our thoughts and prayers because they've had a catastrophic hit yesterday. It was really bad. So,
Well, leadership is something we don't know about in Fall River. So
yes, that's true.
because we're always going a different way.
Yeah, Paul. Listen, Paul. Get it. Listen. I know one of your minions is watching, especially maybe even your chief of staff. So get a new line, will you? Every time you can somebody that you don't get along with politically is causing you a little bit of political heat, bringing a little heat on you, where you have to come out from behind the iron curtain that you hide behind all the time, except when you put your jeans on to go see a photo op, or when you're going to the drive-in movies or something like that. It was I think there was a park commissioner. They said, "Oh, I'm getting rid of her. I'm going in a different direction."
That's right.
Somebody from another board, I'm going in a different direction. That's all he says. I'm going in a different direction. Well, when it comes to non-board members, what that is political speak for I'm firing them for political reasons because I have no legitimate reason. That is the reason that they got rid of civil service department heads. Because in civil service, because when this started with Carlton Navarez, he was the one who changed them all to contracts, except for the fire department. I fought it. I won. We were the only department in the city that had a contract chief. Didn't have a contract chief, I'm sorry. I wrote a few letters to the editor. We had a big battle, and I won. We kept the civil service chief. Why? Because the civil service chief can do the right thing and not be fired because they did the wrong thing politically, but they did the right thing for the people and for the safety. Public safety should never have contract chiefs, in my opinion. And that's my opinion. And it's based in a lot of experience in the public safety area. And don't get me wrong, even with the civil service chiefs, they normally don't hire anybody who will not do what they're told. They'll make sure that they'll choose somebody who they can control. That's the reason that I was on a list for chief of the fire department. I was told directly by the mayor, we're not going to make you the chief because you won't do what you're told, which is political speak for I won't play politics. I will treat everybody equally. But see, they always used to say, oh, we got to get rid of civil service because you can't get rid of anybody. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And if you want to look it up, it's Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 31, Sections 41 through 45. I know that section basically verbatim, and I haven't used it in a long time. But that is the civil service methodology for discipline and termination of civil service employees. The problem with that section is you actually have to have something that they did wrong. I mean wrong in their job, not politically. You have to go there because there is a hearing. You can read the law. It's very extensive. It's like I said, 41, 41A, 42, 43, 44, 45. They're all steps in this procedure to allow the employee to have due process. They never liked it because they couldn't fire anybody that they didn't like politically. And I know you remember Frank Manning in DPW in the old days?
Yes, I do.
Jay, Frank Manning used to go in front of that council and just blister them. He told it like it was, whether they liked it or not. They hated him. They hated him because they couldn't get rid of him because he was doing a good job of running the DPW. And they hated that fact that they could not get rid of him because they would have had to articulate something that he did wrong as in his job. But Paul's thing is always, I'm going in a different direction. Yeah, any direction that'll get me more political ticks. So, I want to, whether you agree or disagree, the police chief took the job, and I'm sure he did it in a way he thought was best for the department. I know a lot of people didn't agree, but then again, I'm sure a lot of people didn't agree with a lot of generals and colonels in the military when they got orders to do things they didn't want to do. So we can't speak to that because we don't know intimately the details of everything that went on. But thank him for his service. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I know he was a captain. To my knowledge, he did not retire. So if he didn't retire, technically he's still a police officer.
And the thing is, we don't know what's contained in his contract. You and I both know that. But normally that would be in there. And knowing the history of Fall River, they don't write new contracts. They just reuse the old ones and change the names. Now,
which is illegal, by the way.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And, people may not wonder why we're going this way. According to news reports from several media outlets, Police Chief Paul Garvin is stepping down today. Now, I don't know if that was a mutual agreement. I don't know if that was decided. I spoke with Chief Garvin several weeks ago, and he said, I'm not going anywhere. And if anyone says I'm going somewhere, tell them to tell me where I'm going so I know where I'm going. The man is very personable. He's easy to talk to, easy to work with. But obviously he pissed some people off. I know that the unions took a vote of no confidence on him. They've been lobbying the mayor to get rid of him. These are all allegations. And it's alleged, even though I have it from several sources, it's alleged that an investigation was started by corporate counsel Alan Rumsey. And during that period of investigation, Seth Akins set up shop at the police station to interview replacement chiefs because they forced Paul Garvin out for a week. They made him take a week off. Now, that's what you call slimy. And that's just slime politics.
Yeah.
Now, if this is true, what direction are we going in? Now, allegations also say that the replacement chief is going to be Furtado. Now, I'm not sure how accurate that is. It's an allegation. But is this the same chief? Is this the same chief that was caught drunk driving in Westport? And it was not even reported, not even filed as a charge because they were a deputy chief in Fall River? Political favoritism?
Well,
remember, you have the option here: a drunk driver or a wife beater. Take your choice.
Well, I don't know about I don't know if this is the same guy. I'm not sure if that guy's retired now or what. And he was never charged with anything. So
Well,
technically,
that's why I said, is it the same person?
there were people who said that he was under the influence when he ran off the road in that incident, but there was never any proof. But the thing that we got to get back at is the process here. The union has a right to take a no confidence vote. I took a no confidence vote in the chief. Yeah, we should. Yeah, but the no confidence vote is at the election. Let the 40,000 people who don't show up and throw all these people out. We keep saying that, but I know that you can't run a railroad like that. Okay, I'm getting a text right now from a source. That is not the same person. This person is very reliable who just texted that to me. It is not the same individual. And this person is also, as you know, our sources are always confidential. This individual is also saying they're talking about making a woman chief.
Right. That's exactly.
But see, the thing about Rumsey and Aikens is, what do they know about police departments? They're doing an investigation. How do they really know? I know a lot about fire department. I know the way they run. I know I know what you have to have. I know the structure. I know what the demand. But look, police and like DCM, I'm not an expert in that. I don't know what, I'm not, an expert in maintenance, community maintenance. I'm not an expert in police work either, or police department structure. They could have that thing upside down and sideways, and I would have absolutely no idea that they were wrong. So I don't know, Rumsey and these are the two stooges that he sends the enforcers to go get his way. Personally, I am a conspiracy theorist probably, because my brain is always working at warp speed. And I always look at things from an angle of their political issue. I think that there was a lot of no confidence in this has gone on for a while. Why all of a sudden now did Paul Coogan decide to take this action? Then he has a big investigation. How long? A year after they started this? 2 years after they started this? I think it's simple. And I may be wrong. This is my opinion, remember. I'm not saying this is fact. This is my opinion. I think Paul learned how to count. Paul said, I'm running for a fourth term. He marches all the cronies out. He goes to the city council and sits there and watches the bouquets be thrown at him. Oh, he put on his jeans and went to see the homeless people. Because then he was for, then he's against the ordinance. Then he can count, the public opinion is not happy with it. Oh, maybe I won't sign it. Maybe I will sign it. We don't know. He's nothing more than a political animal. He missed his calling. He should have gone into politics a long time ago and not wasted his time walking around Durfee with his hands in his pocket. I think Paul did simple mathematics. Let me see. I have a chief. That's one. That's one vote. He has a wife. That's 2 votes. She may even vote for me. I'm going to lose 2 votes if I kick him to the curb. I've been ignoring the police department's pleas for all this time. But wait a minute. There's a whole bunch of police officers with families and relatives. I think maybe I better get rid of this guy and do something that'll, look, I'm going to have the first woman chief, or I'm going to have Paul's great at this stuff. I'm giving movies. He's a ribbon cutter. He's a typical Democrat. He's like Kamala. The border's closed. Oh, she's at the border today. It's not closed. Oh, Filmed for 3.5 years saying the border is secure. It is closed. It is thousands and thousands, 20 million of them coming in. They're flying them in now. The border crossings are down. No shit. They're putting them on an airplane and flying them into the Midwest. They're not counting them because they're coming directly and being dumped in the Midwest. Wisconsin, Ohio. I saw a list this morning on national TV of where they're dumping them. And there's all kinds of crime and stuff. But this is what they do best. Everything is smoke and mirrors. You know, joy, joy, happy joy. We're going to run the country on joy. No, you're not going to run the country on joy. I just had to shut my TV off because I was watching Benjamin Netanyahu giving a unbelievably great speech in front of the United Nations, telling them what Iran was doing to the world. Had maps, he had stats, he had everything. That guy has got a set of cojones. There's a leader. And where is he? He's out in front of a camera. Paul sends his minions over to the police department. We don't know anything about it. Everything's behind the Iron Curtain. The Wizard of Oz, in his case, the Wizard of Id. No, nobody knows anything that happens in his city. He's got a stranglehold. Everybody's afraid of him because in his world now, I'm the boss. You mess with me, I'm canning you. I'm firing you. He's done it on a park department. He's done, look what he did with the 5th member of the retirement board. They fired a guy that was the only 5th member since they got a 5th member. He'd been on the board for 26 or 27 years. And he gave them half of what they wanted. But Paul didn't get everything he wanted, so he canned them. And then manipulated the law so he could appoint somebody. This guy's a scumbag. He's a guy that never had power his whole life.
And now he's drunk with it.
Now he's mad with power. I'm finally the boss. I could never get to be a principal. I could never be in charge of anything. I was always just kissing political ass to keep my job and get a better job and following orders. Nodding my head. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. What do you want me to do next? Will you make me the vice principal? What do you need me to do? Okay. Now he's the boss. And he will stop at nothing to promote his candidacy. And he's like Kamala. He's done absolutely nothing for 3.5 years. This guy's done nothing for 3 terms. And he's going to run a campaign on window dressing. What is he going to say? I built market rate housing. Then they're going to mix and match, and he's got all his minions. They're already setting up this giant smoke and mirror show that's going to be his campaign. They're going to have you'll have the DA down here yammering about what a great relationship they have and blah, blah. Not forget about the lawsuits and the other stuff they withheld. What happened to that other suit? I think there's a couple of lawsuits out in the thing. The DA just got hammered in court, and forced to release information. That's going to come back and bite everybody in the butt. But this whole thing is just a mass of bullshit. This guy had to go. Okay, why do you have to go? My scenario is he can do the counting. If the entire police force is pissed off at him, them and their relatives might not vote for him. So he loses the chief. Maybe he don't even lose him. Who knows what kind of conversation they had, what he was told, where he's going to go. Nobody knows. But like I said, I don't know anything about how police departments work. That's why a lot of people in this community have been yelling for the last 2 years that we should not we should have an outside chief put in here. Somebody that will walk into this department that is a professional, that does know exactly what they're doing, when it comes to how to run a police department and how to structure a police department, but knows absolutely nobody. So he's going to come in and go, you do this, you do that, this is what you're going to do. And then he's going to make the adjustments necessary based on running something effectively and efficiently. They did that in Cranston. They've done it in other communities. And listen, I'm not a big fan of outside chiefs or contract chiefs, but sometimes it's necessary. You know, the civil service process sometimes, you know, you have to pick from what you got, but you have the choice of three normally. Civil service regulations say you can select from the top three candidates. And, but listen, we know there were problems over there, but they were personnel problems. Did I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, CJ. Did you ever hear anything except for that lawsuit about somebody being passed over for a promotion, which was political, not anything to do with policing, according to this guy in his allegations. But I didn't hear anything about a problem with the structure of the police department, like the way it's structured. We don't have enough detectives, or we don't have enough of this, because I wouldn't know. And I'll be perfectly frank, I don't know how many of everything they're supposed to have. I don't know how a police department should be structured based on the size of the community and the other factors that professionals in that organization, and I will be the first one to admit, with fire departments, it's different. I know those things inside and out. I know how they structured. I know how they should be structured. I know all the requirements for different cities and the way that everything is done on it, because I spent 38 years on the line doing that job and negotiating and doing this stuff. But I also know that that's my lane. And I know when I'm not in my lane. But I never heard a complaint about the way the police department was functioning. I heard something about manpower, but that's always an issue. It's an issue with the fire department, issue with the police department. They never have enough people. We know that.
Right.
But absent that, I never heard, we don't have enough people assigned to this section or that section. So he's firing this guy for what? I'm going in a different direction isn't a reason to terminate somebody's employment. That is capital punishment. You took this guy's job away from him. And, that's typical Paul Coogan.
Right.
So back to you.
And, the lawsuit you're talking about, yes, there's one with the officer who filed a lawsuit against the city and the chief. I spoke with the chief about that directly. And as he said, there's a lot more to that story than I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues there which are not discussed, which we can't reveal. And he says, because it's a personnel matter. And I understand that. I understand personnel matters. They never discuss them. But we do have lawsuits pending from citizens for abuse, sexual harassment, ADA violations. I mean, we've got all kinds. Not only in the police department, but the school department especially. Think about the school department for a minute. That's a world all in of itself. The school department is like the Death Star. Okay? It floats through the city and picks out items and shoots them down. And Darth Vader is Paul Coogan. Okay? Who's on the dark side of the Force. And this is what's happening. Okay? Now he removed Dave Dennis from the elections board. Here's a man who was on the elections board for years. And he's always kept the community at the forefront. May not agree with him politically, but you can't take away the fact that he was always keeping Fall River at the forefront. He was removed allegedly because he did a commercial for Sam Sutter. He didn't do a commercial for Sam Sutter. He was taking Sam Sutter around the waterfront like he's done a zillion times for a zillion other people. And Sam videotaped it or had it videotaped and then used that videotape in one of his promotionals. That doesn't mean Dave Dennis was doing a commercial for him. But again, politically, he did. And Paul's not mine because Paul is an asshole.
Paul, well, that's one adjective, I guess, you use as an adjective. But he like, he is a politician. He's a pure politician.
Yes,
And, so he was a political enemy. So you eliminate your political enemies. That's
exactly
the way that's what he did. That's what he does. Going in a different direction, as you said. Look at, I know Dave. I like Dave. I like Sandy. I think they're good people. I mean,
yes,
we're drastically different in our political views, but we still get along. I mean, Dave politically is not anywhere near close to me in most things. There may be a few things that we agree with, but I'm also not, politically aligned with a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that I have to dislike them. But see, that's the way these guys operate. They operate like Billy Bolger and Tommy Finneran, which is you take out all your opposition. Nobody, and Joe Stalin was good at that too, by the way. If he thought you were going to do anything, he'd execute you. But this is the way they operate.
I'm sure if Paul could have people executed, he would.
I have no doubt. As a matter of fact, 30% of the Democrats hope that Trump gets assassinated. So how is that for a staggering figure that 30% of Americans think it's okay to kill somebody because you have a political difference with them? That shows that there's something radically wrong with this country now. That people actually think that you get the right to this guy, it's okay to kill him because you don't like his politics. Well, just don't elect him. No, nobody's forcing you to vote for him. But he might just be the fact that he might get in. So this is the problem with him. He doesn't look, he's been here. He's like Kamala, 3.5 years she's been in. She did nothing. They gave her the border. She did nothing. She can't put a sentence together. It's a word salad. Everything's and it's a tossed word salad because she's done absolutely nothing. And now they're trying to frame her as the second coming when they wanted to get her off the ticket. She was the most disliked vice president in the history of the United States. But now she's like Superwoman. She's Wonder Woman or whatever. But this is what they do with Paul. What has Paul done for the taxpayer? Let's look at this. Let's look at his record. When he ran the first time, he said, I'm honest. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to stabilize the city, which really didn't need to do because it had already been stabilized. And actually, the city was not unstable when Jazel left. Jazel was running the city fine. Yeah, he was skimming some money strong-arming money from some people, but it wasn't the city. He was running the city pretty well, and even Sean Kadim said that at a meeting. And even the city council has given up. They can't get rid of this guy. Kadim said he was a terrible, terrible mayor. That Jazel was a much better manager than he is. And Jazel still is a better manager. He's gotten worse, if anything, since that statement was made. But now they know this guy wields absolute power and he will do anything to retaliate if you do something against him. Maybe Sean doesn't want to lose the ability to walk into his city hall and get somebody a job like he did for a few people from Seekonk. We know that too. We even knew the names. We talked about it on the show a while back. But you got to have the stamp of approval. Otherwise, this guy will retaliate. I know they even threatened to charge somebody with kidnapping one time, or use lawfare, file charges against people, and just make them fight just to strong arm them. But what has he done? He said he's going to be transparent. He's anything but. He said he was going to give us a tax break, not one, but twice. He hasn't. He's raised taxes continuously. Now the water bills, 23%. Mine was 28%, but 23% and 5% for the next 5 years, regardless of whether we use water or not. We could have a drought for the next 5 years. We're still paying 5% more for water. This guy is, he's using the city as an ATM machine, and he's spending as much money as he can. And his only function in that 6th floor is to give his friends jobs, go in different directions, which means put only people that are 100% loyal to me and will do anything I tell them to do, and make his rich friends richer. That's what he's done, in my opinion. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to. So, because show me one thing he's done to help the tax burden in his city. Nothing. Every other word out of his mouth is, let's get another way to get money out of the people. Another debt override, another this. That's right. Nothing. Zero. Nada. But no, she's not taken seriously by anybody. I mean, she even, Oprah's brain blew up. Oprah figured she could stack the audience with movie stars, and everybody would be starstruck and listen to all the movie stars. And I don't know why some idiot who has such a weak personality, they can play anybody, that their entire being is malleable. I'll study this person and I'll pretend to be him. Why don't you pretend to be yourself? There were a few movie actors that weren't like that. John Wayne could not play, certain parts. I mean, I can't see John Wayne playing a movie where he was playing like a house mom or something like that, a stay-at-home dad. No, John Wayne was a tough guy, Clint Eastwood. But most of these actors, they can play anything, because basically they really have no identity. They can morph into anything. But people are starstruck by them. Oh, Taylor Swift endorsed her. Oh, wonderful. I got to vote for her. She's an airhead. She's, Oprah gave her it wasn't a softball. It was like the moon getting thrown at it. Giant moon softball. She went off on a tangent, started babbling, using the talking points over and over again, like Linda. We've done enough for housing. We've done it. That's the new talking point. We're going in a different direction. No ability to think critically and make a statement. So she starts talking about, oh, we all have goals and aspirations, and answer the question. Oprah actually had to kind of answer it for her, and you could see Oprah was like, oh, Jesus, I mean, I can't believe this. It's like, I feed her a slow ball and she can't even put the bat on it. CJ, didn't we hear that you can feel this one? Because I know we had a conversation. He said he would sign it, then he switched and he wasn't going to sign it. So as usual, we don't know what Paul's going to do until Paul decides which way the wind will blow him.
Right. And the thing is that if he doesn't sign it, it goes into law.
And then he'll blame it on the council.
On the city council. If he vetoes it, he doesn't have enough votes on the city council to maintain the veto because the vote was 6-1. That's already the 2/3 necessary to override the veto. Now, according to what happened, okay, remember, the minister turned around and said, I don't usually agree with Paul Coogan, but this time I do. I took that as he was against the ordinance. I may be wrong, but that's what I took it as. Then he goes on NBC and says, I don't think this ordinance is going to do what it's intended to do. So does that mean you're supporting it? You're not supporting it? I don't know. Nice blanket way of clouding up the vision. Okay. So again, flip flop.
Yeah, or non-answers like Kamala. Kamala's great at the non-answer answer.
Right.
But,
and again, it just goes to show you that when you can't trust your elected officials, how can you trust anything that comes out of it? For instance, we've been complaining about the CSO fee for years. I was just reading that on Facebook. Newport's not paying a huge amount of money for their CSO. No, you know why? They got grants. They got grants to handle it. And those grants are paying for the job. Fall River, we don't get the grants because a department head went on vacation instead of filing the paperwork. And then got rewarded for it. Imagine that.
Multiple times he got rewarded.
Exactly. So imagine that. Now, we have a very poor federal delegation. Very poor. Jake Auchincloss has done nothing for Fall River. Nothing. He could have went into Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and said, hey, these guys need some money. Where can we find it? Let's get them a grant. And for those people who think that CSO fee on the stormwater fee on your water bill is necessary, that is a revenue stream. That's a revenue stream. That's all it is. Even after the CSO is done and paid for, we'll still have that fee because it's a revenue stream.
Yeah, you're right, Nelson. You only see him when it. Actually, I got an email from him. I called his office about this. Him going after the prescription benefit managers, and also pointed out some other areas. And of course, I got a letter that said nothing about what I talked about.
Of course not.
So now I'm going to send him a letter back because I'm going to say thank you for actually responding to my to my observation, and I called and spoke to your aide, but that wasn't the full picture. Then I'm going to articulate it in writing so he'll realize that we're paying on both ends. There's going to be a raise, as you well know, in the cost of Medicare, and then the supplemental insurances are also going to go up for people on very low income. So it's going to impact people that have those incomes. But but listen, it's amazing. I've been doing this a very long time, and so have you, CJ. I have never seen city politics parallel national politics so well. We got a combination Joe Biden, Kamala Harris for mayor. They're running the city the way Biden and Harris have run the country, which is like Biden's on vacation all the time. He's down at the beach. Nobody sees him. And then, he did absolutely nothing to help the taxpayers. He's destroyed the country. They've destroyed it, destroyed the border, destroyed everything they did. Paulie's done nothing. So I guess we have to do the same thing that the Trump campaign is doing, and they never get an answer. Like, you never get a straight answer from Paul. I'm going in a different direction. Not the police chief wasn't doing a good job, or blah, 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 blah. Like I said, listen, the police department's either working or it isn't. That's not, that's kind of a binary decision. But we have to ask the same question that they're asking on a national level. Are you better off now than you were when Paul took office? Yeah. No, you're right. You're very right. I mean, obviously, but we have to ask the same question. Are you better off now than when Paul took office? Remember, when Paul took office, he said he was going to be transparent. Has he been? No. He said he was going to actually lower your taxes. We're paying more taxes than we ever have. We got a debt override. They're going to try to look for another one. And Seth Akins said anything. We don't care if they rejected it this time. We're coming back. Another thing, in addition to your 2.5 taxes. So you have to ask the same question on a city level that you ask on a national level, that Kamala won't answer, and Paul Coogan's will never answer it. His campaign will be, I put on blue jeans and go rub elbows with the riffraff homeless. I give him a $20 bill. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Give him a $20 bill. I mean, I just saw, you and I had a conversation the other day. We were reading on a TV where a Boston group was having a drive to get money to feed people, because they said 1 out of every 3 families you could tell they're wokies, because you like the verbiage that they use. And I'm very sensitive to the written word. They said they are food insecure. See, poor people just say, I'm hungry. Rich a-holes who pretend they care say they're food insecure.
And remember, we have food insecurity in Fall River. A lot of it. Hunger. It's called hunger. Right. And what did Paul do? He kicked to the street a food bank, an organization assisting the poor and people who are having difficulty making ends meet. Kicked them to the street. They have no place to go and run their services because he kicked them to the street. Because that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Kick them to the street and hopefully you're all set. Okay? Well, and you want to see how bad it is? Go down to Nashua Street on Tuesdays and Thursdays and see the line of cars. See the line of cars and the line of people waiting in line. Not all of them are driving there either. They've got their shopping carts and they're walking because they can't afford food.
Yeah, but they don't care. Like when I saw that food drive, money drive, it's for donations. I don't know if they take food and money, but they're looking at money. But the food insecure. You know what? I didn't write the number down, because what I should have done, if I see it again, I'm going to write the number down. We'll put it on we'll put it on our website. Because my philosophy on that, you should do is call those people up in Boston and say, I'm not going to give you any money. What I'm going to give you is an idea. Why don't all you food insecurity police who want me to donate my money to feed these people, why don't you call a governor and ask her why she spent $1 billion on illegals? There's no hungry illegals, only hungry Americans. Call a governor. Tell her to give you the $1 billion. We'll feed everybody in the state. You're not going to get a donation from me. I'm sorry. I got enough problems feeding myself.
Especially with the taxes in Fall River.
That's right. And it's like, You know, on a fixed income, I got enough problems feeding myself. So you want the money? Ask the governor. She's the
That's
one that
it.
blew $1 billion on him. She's the one that I see him. I see him in a supermarket using the debit cards and the cards they get. They got cards, they got clothes, they got everything. We got veterans, we got poor people out in the street. Like you said, we got lines 9 miles long of Americans trying to get food. They are not, yeah, like you say, poor people, we have a different language. You see, rich people have a different language. They make everything sound not really that devastating. Food, they're food insecure. They're not hungry. They're food insecure. Rich people are eccentric. Poor people are crazy. See, they'll call you and be crazy, but if we were rich, we'd be eccentric. See, this is the way they do things. They wrap it up in this phony gauze of their bullshit. Like all the rich Hollywood elites that are going to leave the country if Donald Trump gets in because he's so bad, because they don't feel anything. They're all worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You think Ben Stiller gives a shit about how much bacon costs or eggs? Those people don't give a shit about anything. They got plenty of money. They got 2 or 3 houses, they got 2 or 3 cars, they got everything. And if you get too close to them, you'll find out how little they really care about you, because remember what happened in Martha's Vineyard. Oh, they're here. Get them out. Nantucket. Oh, get them out. In my backyard, you know, you're not gonna be able to buy a house because number one, you couldn't afford it. But even if you did, they'd make sure you never got it if they found out that you just happen to hit the megabucks or something like that. They don't want the riffraff in their neighborhood. Oh yeah, and they're being used all over. They're in Dartmouth at some of those motels on Route 6. Yeah. We love them when they're in another place.
That's it.
Anywhere but here.
Yep. So, again, the big news today is that the chief is stepping down. It's a shame that he's been put in this position. It's a shame that Paul didn't have the cojones to say, look, this is why I'm firing you. Or this is why I'm asking you to step down. Okay? That bullshit line of, I'm going in a different direction. Which direction? Illegal? Doesn't cut any cloth with me. Okay? And as I said earlier about Furtado, I asked, is it the same person?
It isn't.
Okay? And it isn't. We know that now. And I know who it is now. Just by putting it in my head. And it would be nice to see a woman be Fall River's first police chief.
If she's qualified.
If she's qualified. Exactly. If she's qualified. I mean, we're not being sexist. Don't even start with we're being sexist, because we're not. Because I would say the same thing if it was a man, if he's qualified.
That's right.
Okay? I don't want a political kiss ass as my chief of police, because a political kiss ass is going to do what the politician wants, not what the people need, including violating the law.
Yeah.
Which you can't do. So,
yeah,
just remember that.
Yeah, talking about that. But, you know, Paul Coogan doesn't care about quality. You know that. Listen, we got a city administrator that took the job and said, I don't do numbers. And that's the job. And now he's also a personnel director. He sent them over to do interviews.
Right.
What the hell does he know about interviewing? But, you know, personnel directors have a particular skill set and they're looking for certain things and they work for particular organizations. And you know that they know what that organization needs because they're recruiting people for those jobs in that particular organization in which they work in. And they're well versed in it. What the hell does he know about being a police chief. But that's 4 chiefs now for Coogan, right? That's 4. Number 4 now
so.
we're working on. We're working on that. But like I said, look, call me a conspiracy theorist. He didn't respond to all these problems until he knows he's going to run for another term and he can count. They'll bring more votes. Yeah, it's terrible. That it's chaos. You got to have good. You've got to have a department that has, leadership that is functioning, because, the police officers have a difficult enough job, when they walk out the door and get and go to work. I mean, it's a tough job, and when you have a work environment that sucks, that's not good. There's enough stress on these jobs. Fire, police, they're putting their lives on the line. Corrections, they go into situations where everybody else is running away from. It is difficult enough to do that job under the best of circumstances.
Exactly.
And when you've got this kind of ineptitude, that's the only way you can that we can't. Paul can't pick qualified people because he was never qualified, and he reached the PETA principle to its infinite power. I mean, he couldn't even be a principal, and he became a mayor. Go figure. Talk about exceeding your ability. This guy is way over his head, because all they're going to do is, like Kamala does, is no, yeah, it's actually reverse discrimination. We can't be. This is the whole thing about DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's got nothing to do with merit. It has to be on merit. I don't care what color you are, what gender you are, or even if you pick a gender. Nobody cares, especially in these jobs. Public safety. You want to know that your partner is going to cover your ass. You go into a fire. People used to tell me that all the time about women firefighters. It's, look, if they can pass the physical, if they can do the job, fine. I said, but remember, I told this to a college professor once. I said, listen, if you're on a 3rd floor of a 3-decker and you're about 1 breath away from dying, I said, you get a firefighter coming through the window that's going to carry you down a ladder. You better hope that firefighter is strong enough to get you and him or her down the ladder. So if you got a 105-pound woman with 60 pounds of equipment on her, and she's going to take a 200 and some pounder down the ladder, your chances are slimmer. That's why. But this is what made me have a problem. Same thing with police. I said, if you're trapped somewhere, you want the 2 biggest cops you can get. If you got 8 guys attacking you, you don't want a 105-pound anybody, man or woman. But the reality is that what they did was wrong. And I still remember it because I lived through it. The physical I took to get on the fire department, virtually most of the men failed. A lot of men failed it, and virtually all the women. So what did they do? They lowered the standard. So now dead people can pass the physical fitness test. So
hey,
I know a couple of corpses. Maybe Joe Biden could pass the thing.
There you go. I gotta chime in here. Mike Sylvia just posted. I talked to Mayor Coogan. Mike Sylvia is the editor of Fall River Reporter. I talked to Mayor Coogan, who stated that he does not intend to veto the unauthorized camping ordinance passed this week by the Fall River City Council. The ordinance targets the homeless and allows for the city to fine, remove, and destroy tents and other unauthorized structures. That's the mayor's position.
Wait a minute. He's supposed to be a reporter? Aren't you supposed to have a really in-depth dive? Did he ask the mayor if he's going to sign it, or is he just going to?
He did. He asked, and
Okay.
he said he's not going to be.
That's very important. Is he going to sign it?
No, he didn't say he's going to sign it either.
Well, that should have been a very, very direct question with a direct answer. He should have held Paul's feet to the fire.
I agree. There's no question about it. Well, I want to thank you all for watching today. It's been an interesting show. Like I said, sorry to hear about the police chief, but this is Florida politics because Paul gets his way one way or the other. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We're going in a different direction. Off the air.